Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking the absolutely grueling psychological tension of match 96 between Switzerland and Colombia. We're looking at a classic scenario today, one that every single sports fan knows all too well, but very few truly understand from a psychological standpoint. We're focusing squarely on the absolute pressure behind penalty shootouts. It is the ultimate test of nerves, skill, and just sheer willpower. And as you'll see, this specific match provides a perfect, textbook example of how quickly fortune can flip when the pressure reaches its absolute peak.
So, the crucial point we are exploring today is that ultimate crucible in sports. It drops you straight into the nerve-wracking stakes of a scoreless draw. I mean, when you hear the commentator say, he's going to go down to a penalty shootout, it instantly changes the atmosphere in the stadium, right? The collective breath is just held. All that physical exhaustion from the previous minutes suddenly gives way to this incredibly intense, isolating mental battle. It's no longer about team tactics or flowing formations. It's just about a single player, a single ball, and the goalkeeper.
Let's jump to Section 1, the scoreless stalemate.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the early frustration mounts, building a foundation for the tension we see later on. Granit Xhaka makes an early mistake, and he's just battling, fighting desperately to make amends on the pitch. Meanwhile, Colombia, they're showing some serious offensive invention. They are constantly pressing the attack. You've got Vargas being forced to make a crucial save against Rier, and Xhaka constantly finding himself under just immense, suffocating pressure from Diaz and Suarez. You can really see how this relentless back and forth drains the players, setting the stage for the psychological exhaustion that makes a shootout so devastating.
Which brings us to Section 2, pushed to the brink.
Let's track this agonizing sequence on the timeline because you can practically feel the anxiety spiking with every single near miss and crossbar hit. Look at the progression here. We start in the early match with Xhaka's mistake in his recovery attempts. Then, in regulation, Vargas is forced to step up and make saves, taking on Pueta as the tension just keeps mounting. Then, the inevitable happens. The match officially goes to extra time in Vancouver. And late in that extra time, the physical toll really starts to show. Kano's header violently hits the crossbar, and the keeper starts looking genuinely uncertain dealing with Lukumi and Munoz. The margin for error completely vanished.
Okay, Section 3, the shootout pressure cooker.
This is where the physical game ends and the mental game entirely takes over. Watch how a massive early advantage just crumbles under the weight of the moment. For step 1, the shootout begins with Colombia holding the psychological upper hand. But then, step 2, Davinson Sanchez steps up and hits the crossbar. Instantly, the gravity shifts. Step 3, Gregor Kobel capitalizes on that momentum shift and saves a shot from Cucho Hernandez. And finally, step 4, Itten steps up and scores straight down the middle. Literally, in just 4 rapid-fire moments, the entire complexion of the match is turned totally upside down.
And that perfectly sets up Section 4, a shift in momentum.
Look at this stark contrast between Colombia's initial confidence and the rapid physical manifestation of pressure. On the left side, advantage Colombia. They had that initial psychological upper hand heading into the shootout. But on the right side, Kobel saves and Sanchez misses. We see the sudden and complete collapse of that advantage under immense pressure. It visually represents just how fragile confidence is during a penalty shootout. The pressure behind these kicks is so monumental that an established advantage can just evaporate in a matter of seconds.
So, to survive that, it requires ice-cold execution from a player like Itten to score under such suffocating psychological weight. The quote here notes how he goes straight down the middle and scores. Think about the nerves required to pull that off. You have tens of thousands of fans screaming, the weight of your entire nation on your back, an intimidating goalkeeper staring you down, and you choose to calmly place the ball right down the center? No way. It is the absolute peak of shootout psychology, rejecting the pressure entirely and forcing the goalkeeper to make the first move.
Which brings us to our final act, Section 5, a date with Messi.
This is the ultimate reward for surviving this pressure cooker. Now, Diaz does score a late penalty for Colombia, but it's just not enough. It's all over, and Switzerland claims the hard-fought victory. They officially advanced to the World Cup quarterfinal. They outlasted the stalemate, they survived the crossbar hits, and crucially, they absolutely mastered their own psychology when the penalty shootout arrived. So I want to leave you with this thought to ponder. After surviving the ultimate shootout pressure cooker, how will Switzerland handle the psychological weight of their quarterfinal date with Lionel Messi? Having just survived the absolute ultimate test of nerves, are they truly prepared for that looming shadow? Switzerland proved today that they have the mental fortitude to handle the excruciating pressure behind a shootout. But as they advance, the stakes only get higher, and the opponents only get more legendary.
Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes on the pitch to see how this incredible psychological momentum carries forward.